Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep, literally, to uncover the completely alien-like secrets of octopuses. We've got some truly wild research straight from the Smithsonian to unpack today, showing just how bizarre and honestly brilliant these creatures actually are. All right, let's just jump right in. So, riddle me this. What has 3 hearts, bleeds blue blood, and predates the dinosaurs? I mean, it sounds like we're describing some sci-fi monster from a whole other galaxy, right? But we're not. We are actually talking about an animal that shares this exact planet with us, just lurking down in the dark, mysterious corners of our oceans. Section 1. Ancient Monsters and Myths. Let's talk about 330 million years. That number is it's absolutely massive. That is the age of the oldest known fossil of an octopus ancestor. It was found in Montana's Bear Gulch Limestone Formation and officially described in 2022. Interestingly, this ancient guy actually had 10 limbs, not the 8 we're used to seeing today. To put that 330 million years into perspective, that means octopuses were cruising the oceans long before a single dinosaur ever set foot on land. I mean, these soft-bodied ancestors were essentially drafting the evolutionary blueprint for the octopus millions of years before life on land was anything more than puny little reptiles. Section 2. Anatomy of an Alien. Okay, so having that kind of deep, ancient history gave them plenty of time to evolve some of the weirdest physical traits on Earth. The most fascinating one? They actually have 3 hearts. 3! 2 of those hearts have a very specific, exclusive job. They just pump blood past the animal's gills. That's where the blood dumps carbon dioxide and loads up on fresh oxygen. And once that blood is nice and oxygen-rich, the 3rd heart tags in, pumping all that energy-filled blood out to the rest of the organs and muscles. But here is the wild catch. That 3rd heart, the main one, it actually completely stops beating when the octopus swims, because that main organ-pumping heart essentially shuts down while they're in motion. Swimming is just physically exhausting for them. It completely wipes them out. This is exactly why you'll almost always see octopuses crawling along the ocean floor instead of gracefully swimming through the water. They are literally just trying to conserve their cardiovascular energy. And the weirdness of their circulatory system definitely does not stop at the hearts. Take a look at their blood. Human blood relies on iron-based hemoglobin, which, as we know, turns red when it hits oxygen. But octopus blood? It's powered by a copper-containing protein called hemocyanin, which actually makes their blood look blue. Why copper? Well, hemocyanin is a larger protein, and it is vastly more efficient at transporting oxygen in those extreme, freezing, super low oxygen environments down at the bottom of the deep ocean. It is honestly just a perfect evolutionary hack. Section 3. Brilliant Brains and Behavior. Okay, real quick, before we get into how smart they are, let's take a tiny grammar break to settle a debate that has raged for years. How do we talk about more than one of them? The word originates from the Greek octopus, meaning 8 foot. Now, for a long time, people used to say octopi, treating it like a Latin word, like alumnus becoming alumni. Other folks argued for the Greek plural, octopotus. But linguistically speaking, since we fully adopted the word into the English language, just adding the standard English S's is the correct way to go. So apologies to the grammar purist out there, but it is for sure octopuses. All right, back to those brilliant brains. Now, it's pretty safe to say not everyone in history appreciated their intellect. Just look at this historic burn from the Greek philosopher Aristotle all the way back in 350 BCE. In his History of Animals, he literally wrote, "The octopus is a stupid creature, for it will approach a man's hand if it be lowered in the water." He called them slimy, he mocked their habits, and he famously dismissed their entire phylum by writing, "So much for the mollusca." Ouch. Well, sorry, Aristotle, but you were completely wrong on this one. Modern science has definitively proven just how huge and capable their brains really are. We're talking about creatures that can navigate highly complex mazes. They can figure out how to open a clamshell that researchers have literally wired shut. If you've seen documentaries like My Octopus Teacher, you know they have distinct, highly individual personalities. They even play. Researchers have watched them engage in a sort of pseudo-game of catch using a floating bottle. They remember solutions, they learn, and they'll take things apart just for the sheer fun of it. And the way their brain actually operates, it is entirely alien to how ours works. Only 33% of an octopus's neurons are actually located in its head. A massive 67%, literally 2/3 of their neurons, are housed entirely in their arms. This means their arms quite literally have a mind of their own. One arm could be off figuring out how to crack open a shellfish, while the central brain in the head is busy checking out a cave for other food. The system is so decentralized that even if a tentacle is completely severed from a dead animal, it will still jerk and curl up if researchers pinch it.
Wild, right?
Section 4. Lethal Defense. Tragic Romance. Let's get into the darker realities of their lives, starting with their defense mechanisms. The crucial thing to know about their famous ink defense is that it's not just smokescreen to hide behind. Octopus ink contains a specific compound called tyrosinase. Now, in humans, this helps control melanin production, but when an octopus sprays it directly into a predator's eyes, it acts as a literal chemical weapon. It causes intense physical irritation, and it completely garbles the attacker's senses of smell and taste. So it's not just hiding the octopus, it is actively incapacitating the enemy.
But that lethality extends right into their own life cycle, especially when it comes to mating. It is a deeply tragic one-way street. Here's how it goes. Step 1. The male uses a specialized longer arm called a hectocotylus to insert spermatophores into the female. Step 2. The male's specialized arm actually falls off, and he dies shortly after. Step 3. The female lays up to 400,000 eggs and obsessively guards them. And I mean obsessively. She stops eating completely just to prioritize her motherly duties. By step 4, when the eggs finally hatch, the female is dead or actively dying. Her optic glands rapidly pump out these self-destructive chemicals that alter her cholesterol metabolism, basically shutting her whole body down. It is an immediate, fatal game over for both parents.
Section 5. Our impact on octopuses. Because of that incredibly brief, fatal life cycle, they're actually really vulnerable. And humanity has long been fascinated by them, sometimes in, well, very bizarre ways. To some, they've even been erotic muses. The Smithsonian specifically highlights Katsushika Hokusai's 1814 Japanese woodblock print depicting what is known as tentacle erotica. It was inspired by legends of female abalone divers, and art curators note that the unease a lot of viewers feel when looking at the art actually stems directly from the startling realism of the octopus itself. They have been deeply embedded in our culture and art for a very long time. But today, our main interest is culinary, and the scale is staggering: 550,000 tons. According to the Sustainable Fisheries Partnership, that is the worldwide production of octopus meat every single year right now. While it has been popular in places like East Asia, Spain, and Greece for centuries, demand has just completely exploded recently in the United States and globally. And the devastating cost of that massive demand becomes painfully clear when you track the fishing industry over time. To feed the world's hunger for octopus, fisheries aggressively targeted North and West Africa back in the 1980s. But when they overfished those waters, the industry had to shift down to Morocco. Then they moved to Mauritania, and most recently, down to Senegal. We are essentially just chasing their populations down the African coast as their numbers collapse from overfishing. Which leaves us with one final, really critical thought. Remember that highly efficient, copper-based blue blood we talked about earlier? The one so perfectly adapted for the deep ocean? Well, it turns out it comes with a massive vulnerability. That specific blood makeup makes octopuses incredibly sensitive to changes in ocean acidity. If the water's pH dips too low, they physically cannot circulate enough oxygen to survive. So, as human-driven climate change continues to increase ocean acidity, we really have to ask, will these 330-million-year-old survivors, creatures that literally outlive the dinosaurs, be able to survive us? It's a sobering question to end on for sure, but one that perfectly captures why understanding the science behind these magnificent animals is so deeply important. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.